that I still got it, and I never feel sorry. Yeah, on top of the world. On top of the world. Yeah, on top of the world. On top of the world. Yeah, on top of the world. Of the world. When I hit and pull on my fuse and then ba-bum. Later, see you later, I'm about to blow this up. You can sing or sing if you want, I know you want it. It's always kinda funny, yeah, cause you all know I'm a superstar in the sky to lead you on. Haters gonna hate it, the proof of how they live.
Hey guys, I'm Si, and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of our originally created series, My Story. This is our third series, and as I said before, what I love about this series is no matter who it is, everybody has got a story to tell. And as you guys know by now, Ace Podcast Nation, home to many great shows, original series featuring top guests, expert analysts, and more. So do give us a subscribe, follow on social media, all that good stuff. Click the bell for notifications. And of course, we really appreciate you, sir, supporting our brand partners and sponsors. That helps us out a lot. If you do prefer your podcast in audio platform, Sports Social Podcast Network, the UK's first all sports podcast network. Appreciate their support as ever, and we love being a part of their brand. And yeah, check it out. Loads of shows, all the stuff produced by Ace Podcast Nation. So my story, just very quickly, is unique as we talk to our guests, take them through their life, their career, birth to upbringing to present day, as they share stories, anecdotes all along the way. They could be emotional, they could be happy, they could be whatever it may be. It's a journey for sure. And we had episode 1, or part 1 of episode 1, with my guest this evening. Was an emotional one, and we're going to continue that journey now. But I'm delighted to say back for part 2 is Cullan Mais of the Central Club podcast. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Simon. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm all good, buddy. We've spoken a lot over the last couple of days, mate. It's been good. It's been
good
stuff.
We have, yeah.
But obviously, we left it towards the end of part 1. We left it sort of as you were going into prison, mate. So I think, like, what we'll do is we'll jump straight back in, no messing about. Like, it's got to be difficult for you, like you talked about in part 1. Like, you were kind of, the thought of going to prison was quite a big thing for you. You didn't think you were going to be able to cope with it beforehand. It's eventually happened. Remind me again, mate, sorry. What was the thing which you finally got done for, which took you into prison?
Yeah, so it was like, last chance saloon, I had given my like 9 lives sort of thing. So it was, get tagged, they give you tag. I had tag, they give you community service. I done community service, preached that. And then I had a suspended sentence. That was like the last thing, a suspended sentence. So if you get in trouble one more time, you go into prison. And it's not like it's you punch someone in town on a night out. If you get in trouble once more, you go in, because you're not going to do that. I'm consistently offending every single day to fund my habit.
Yeah.
So it's inevitable that I'm going to break that again,
Yeah, it's going to get
And
caught at some time.
yeah, I tried to, like, looking back, like, sometimes I used to like say, well, they know I'm going to offend. There's got to be something else. Put me into rehab, or
Were you ever offered that, mate, through, like, when you were getting arrested and stuff? Was there anyone, like, in terms of, like, the police, I suppose, now, rather than, like, friends and family, like, the police, the authorities, was that ever, like, an option, like, them trying to push you in that direction instead of just tags, punishments, threats?
No, and I actually went to rehab the one time. That was self-referred. It was actually running up to a guaranteed sentence, and I tried to, like, I don't even think I was ready for rehab at the time, but he was just looking for anything apart from jail. And I always hated them for that as well, the government. But now I'm working in recovery. I've come to learn that tier 4, which is tier 4 is rehabs. There's few of them in Wales especially, and the ones that are around are either very religious or just not the greatest. There's one of them up in I think Abergavenny, an old couple on a farm working, and apparently they've been looked into for modern day slavery, where they'll get
Jesus.
people in for getting clean and stuff, and
Yeah.
they're a week into their detox, and now they're making them do all the chores. So, I
Crazy.
used to look back then, and the one time I did go to rehab was obviously me just looking for anything a way out, and I went through a place called Inroads, which is still there, I believe, in Riverside by the park off Neville Street.
Okay.
And I basically begged them, is it a place? And I found out they sent me to the City Temple, which was down the road. A lady called Barbara. And then Barbara got me referred to a place called Victory Outreach, which is up in Abertillery. And I always say, some of these places, everyone's recovery is different because, it might work for one other person, but like that setup certainly didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So
You gotta want it. It's gotta be right. Everyone's different, mate. And I think, apart from the side of it of being ready yourself, it's also got to be the right situation, surrounded by the right people for it to work.
yeah,
Otherwise, your addicts just generally will always go back to what they're addicted to. And I say that from personal experience myself as well, mate. Like, and I say that even now about smoking. Like, I smoke loads, and I wish I didn't. I wish that of all the things that have happened to me in my life, I wish I'd never started smoking. But like, I smoke loads, and like, I say to my missus all the time, I do want to give up, like, but not really.
the
So
thing
like
is though, sorry,
until I want it and I like ready, there's no point because
yeah,
I will always just have a fag in a sneaky one. And I get it's I'm not saying it's the same as like drug addiction and stuff like that, but it's just my point. The correlation I guess I'm drawing is like if you're not ready in yourself and you're not committed to it, it will not work long term.
yeah. I think though the thing with smoking cigarettes and stuff is so like blatant out there,
Yeah,
like you're either a smoker or you're not. You're either going to do it or not because there's no way you go through your whole life of not trying a cigarette because it's there socially and antisocial all the time. So there was going to be one point in your life you try it, and if you like
yeah,
it, you're a smoker. You're a smoker. So
that's it.
I wouldn't beat yourself too much about that, but I totally understand what you're saying.
It's so when you knew you were going to prison, was there like was it like an instant thing, like you're there the next day, or is it like a build up of a couple of weeks where like your time
So
starts?
I don't know if this is the drugs. If this was the drugs, well, it must be because you're gonna have a kid in the world. But I genuinely thought that I could go on the run. And so this is what happened. So basically, I've committed another crime. And I always used to think I was getting away with it. And my grandpa used to say, "Listen, you can't get away with shoplifting these days. They'll
No.
let you leave the shop, but they're just going to look at this stuff. They're going to see something gone. They're going to check the CCTV. There's Cullan Mais." So I used to leave the shop, get my drugs, and then like 2, 3, a day down the line, they know stuff's gone missing. Call the police. That's Cullan Mais. So I went to pick up my methadone. The one day I was on my methadone script. Went to pick up my meth. It was a Friday for the takeout. And
Mm.
when I've gone to pick it up, they said, "Cole, can we speak to you a minute?" He called me and they said, "You're wanted by the police for a shoplift." And like I was like, I was expecting it, but I was shocked.
Yeah,
And it dawned on me that this is my time now. I'm going to be breached for this suspended. I'm going to prison, and everything just made me go grey, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it got to this. Because even though you're doing these things and you're giving all these chances, you just never think it's gonna happen to you, and you know.
yeah,
So I basically went on the run, and in my head, I thought I'd go and live at my nan's in England, and the police will forget about me in
yeah.
six
They
months'
won't
time.
think of that. Like they
And then
just
yeah,
don't.
yeah, it's only a shoplift, so they'll forget about it, and I can come back down in 6 months' time. So what I done was I went on the run. I was on the run for about a month, I think. But what I had to do then was because obviously I couldn't get my methadone script because when being wanted and there's a chance they might show up there because the police use that a lot, especially in Dyfodol and Cardiff because it's a police building. No one
Yeah.
knows this, but it's actually rented by the police, lease it to them, and they have a
Okay.
bargain with them then. So if there's any people on any scripts who are wanted, which is more than likely, they'll say, call us when he comes in and we'll arrest him. And there's an actual camera that faces the building 24/7. So there's someone watching all the time. I've been arrested more than once there, actually. So,
Mm.
so I basically ran away and went up to my nan's with my partner. And basically, after, I'm now not getting my methadone. So my heroin addiction is 10 times as worse because I've got two habits. I've got the heroin and the meth. Now the
Mm.
meth's gone, I have to take more heroin to. So that only, I couldn't cope anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. I went home, and my plan was to just get as much drugs as I could and stick them up my ass. So I started collecting stuff. I was staying in a little house, which like a little flat up in Fairwater. I started to collect some drugs. I waited to get paid. I got paid from the door. And then what happened was I went to buy like a couple of Valiums, a couple of like subbies and stuff. Um, and I ended up wrapping them up. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up and smoked the heroin. Then I went up to my mum's to get clothes, quickly just to get clothes. Because I was going back and forth, but I was, dodging the police. And where I took my parcel out to smoke the heroin, um, when I've gone up to my parents, I got my drugs in my pocket, so I've gone up to my parents to get changed. The police have just come to the house. They must have been waiting. They must have knew I was
Yeah.
about, so they knew I was waiting. So they grabbed me, and my drugs were in the other pocket, so I couldn't put them at my ass. And basically got chucked in a van and gone. And I remember being like, "Oh my god, I'm going to jail." And I was clucking really bad. It was just fucking for someone like myself who's a homely person, I never like to stay away from the family. I always, I'm very like I like my food. Who don't, But
Yeah. Yeah.
when I got this perception of jail, which is horrific as well of people, especially my uncle, who's in and out of prison, and yeah, so they had me in the cell, but because it was a weekend as well, they
Mm.
arrested me on a weekend, and that means I think they must have got me Saturday morning, and they wouldn't put me. They had me wanted, but I didn't go to court until the Monday. So for 2 days, I'm in there clucking like really fucking bad. Don't know where I am. They take me in Monday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, into the court meet wagon straight to Cardiff Madge. From Cardiff Madge, I'm in there all day in the court. I'm still hoping maybe I'll get away. And I remember my solicitor saying, "Listen, your time's up, mate. There's no more chances for you. Just get in there, get your head down, and fucking sort it out." And I remember crying, bawling, tell my mum and dad, and I tell them. And do you know what? It was a common occurrence. Every time I'd get done for prison, I'd sit in the police cells and I'd go on and ring the call. They can call your a member of your family from the cell. And I
Mm.
used to sob like it was the end of the world to my mum and dad and say, "I'm sorry." And they were just like, "Cole, you're not learning." So when I went that time, I was really, really bad, and I've gone in there. And to be honest, maybe it was a good thing, but I actually didn't know where I was the first sentence. All I remember was coming in onto induction, and I'll never forget him, Nathan Birdie from Fairwater. He was on induction, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he came in. It was late at night. I was spewing, shitting in induction and stuff. And he took me up onto the wing and he went, "Do you want an orange?" And my mouth was really dry. And I was like, "Yeah, give me an orange." And I sucked on the orange. And like these are things I vividly remember. I was sucking on
Mm.
the orange and because I just needed something to dry my mouth with. And then he put me in the cell and I was in with some random guy and he said, "Look after him. He's a good one." And then I woke. I didn't really sleep that night. I didn't actually sleep for about 3 weeks on that first sentence. And then when I went in the morning, then what they do is people, because you're on induction wing, nurses, cadet workers, probation, they'll all come to your door. "Hi, Cullan Mais, have you got an extra cane?" And start filling all that jazz. And I said, "Listen, I'm on a methadone script. I haven't had it for a couple of weeks, but look, I've got heroin in my system. I'm detoxing, thinking they give me the meth." And
Yeah.
they didn't give me the meth. But the worst thing about it was they actually took me onto the drug wing to detox myself because obviously they thought they'd keep an eye on me. And there was nothing worse than going on a drug wing where everyone on the drug wing is on methadone, but you're
Except
not.
you.
How
Yeah.
fucked up is that? Everyone around me is there, they're on their meth, they're fine, and I'm sitting there clucking, watching people go to the queue up in the morning, all fucking warm, scratching all off their faces on their meth, and I was clucking really bad. And like, you know about addiction, and with opiates and stuff, coming off methadone is the worst thing ever. And when I was in there as well, I was vulnerable. Like, I had like I managed to take two pairs because I was at my parents. I took two pairs of trainers with me and some clothes, and at that time you could have two pairs in. And I remember selling a pair of my brand new Air Maxes to someone for like not the price it should have been, like a stupid mill of Subutex, which lasted 10 seconds, which didn't even work. And I had to learn fast in there. And what happened was then they shipped me after 2 weeks. What happened? Sorry, I got caught palming my meds because someone said if you keep these things, they call brittle effects, lefexidine, they slow your heart rate. That's all they'd give someone who was detoxing from heroin. If you weren't on a script, you go on this. And they were giving me these lefexidines, brittle effects, and someone said to me, keep them back because you get two in the morning, two in the afternoon, two in the night, six. And he said, if you keep these for me, because they're meant to be good on Subutex. If you're on subbies and you have brittle effects, it's meant to make it stronger. So there was a guy who had drugs who said, if you keep your lefexidines, I'll give you subbies every time. And I got caught I didn't know where I was, and I was dopey, didn't know what to do. I got caught palming by one of the officers. They banged me up. They put me on basic, took my TV off me. So I'm even worse now on my own, fucked. And then eventually they shipped me to F wing because I ruined my privileges of being on the detox wing. And that's when I really saw I was in prison because D wing, the drug wing at the time, was like quite a small wing, a newer side of the building, the newer part of Cardiff prison. Then they put me to F wing, and that's when I was like, "Wow, I'm in prison," because the long landings, everyone's busy, and I got at them times when you don't really know, like you'll get chewed up with whoever they put you in with. When you know the system, you can tell him I ain't going in with him, and I'll have him my cell, and you can kick people out and have friends. I didn't have that at the first time because I didn't know what to do, so they had me in with this racist fucking man from the fucking valleys who was just a nutter. He fucking stunk. He wouldn't like. To be honest, I didn't sleep, but like he'd stay up at night. Listen, try and go to sleep with music on and that and stuff like that. So I got out of his cell eventually. Then I got in with someone else, and where I still weren't sleeping and I was spewing, he was getting angry. And then I remember I was on the landing the one time, and I just I leant over like that. And I was still very weak, and I seen someone I know. I was like, oh my god, it's Khalid Topper, and it was my mate Khalid Topper from Pennsylvania. I went and seen him. I went, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, told me what he was in for. And he went, do you want to get tuned up with me? And I said, yeah. Why? He went, oh, my sandwich going in the morning. So I got tuned up with Khalid Topper, and lo and behold, he knew someone who had drugs and loads of subbies. So then I was able to get subbies for nothing because it was his mate. And I sat on the bed and I thought, you know what, this jail won't be so bad if I'm with this Khalid and I've got these subbies and I can do my detox properly and slowly. And because when you detox off the meth, you're a very vulnerable person in a place like that because you could easily get robbed. If anyone wants to start on you, you can't really fight, you can't
Yeah.
defend yourself because you're that fucked. So I spent 2 nights with him in total. I wakes up in the morning the one time after having a great night with him. I think we went to bed at like 3 in the morning. We had a proper laugh, like, talking about old times and that. And I thought, that was the night I thought, you know what, I probably could do this. It's only my first sentence. I got sentenced for, listen to this, I got sentenced for 10 months, yeah, for a shoplift, for a couple of bottles of booze. That's
Jesus.
nearly a year sentence, like. But the reason was, like I said, it's because
It's
I had a
persistent.
suspended sentence before, and the suspended sentence was 8 months to 4. They activated that and put an extra two on
Okay.
top. And I thought, oh, I could do this year anyway. So I wakes up in the morning, and a slip comes through the door, and I thought it was like a card or something or mail. So I
Mm.
picked it up, and it was a yellow slip, and it says, "You fit the criteria for an overcrowded prisoner, Cullan Mais. You are being transferred to HMP Birmingham." And I was like, "What's this? Birmingham?" And then Khalid went, "Fucking hell, mate, they're taking you to Birmingham." I said, "What?" And then I remember banging the door and saying, "Gov, I think you've got a mistake." And the lady came, Miss Williams, I'll never forget her. She opened the flap. She went, "What do you want?" And I said, I got to know her over the years, like, but this is the first encounter I had. She went, "What do you want?" And I went, "What's this? I'm going to Birmingham." She went, "Yeah, you go in now. Get your stuff ready." I said, "No, I think you made a mistake." Like, I'm trying to tell them they've made mistakes. They're like, "No, you go in." Like, simple. And I didn't have a chance to phone my dad or nothing. So I'm like, "What the fuck?" And people are telling me, "Yo, this jail's nuts." And I actually was shipped up there in 2013, and it was a couple of months before the big Birmingham riots. So I guess in reception, and there's about 6 other people there from the boys who are going up to Birmingham as well.
Yeah.
I ended up going up there, and in a way, it was a saving grace because, like I said, it takes like a month to get off the methadone properly, but it weren't because I was still stuck. And what happened was, as we're driving up the meat wagon, one of the boys goes, "You know, in England jails, it's different to Wales. If you go in there and say you're clucking off heroin, they give you methadone straight away. They just give it to you." And I was like, "Shut up." And so that was in my head from the get-go. When I'm going in, I'm getting on the meth. I guess up there, I guess to Birmingham, which is Winton Green, there's fucking bullet holes on the fucking reception windows. I'm like, "What the fuck is this place?" I got
It's
mad.
mad that they sent you there, like, and transferred you up there when you were there for shoplifting. Really,
Yeah, yeah.
like, it's crazy.
It's
But
sad, and this is what happened. So this is what happened. Like, so, I guess in there, it's a totally different ball game. These prisons up England, they're no joke. Like, this is where, like, I was on induction wing. It's a much bigger prison. The induction wing is just full of killers, like people who've just done murders and stuff. Big, big black people, like black men and all. Like, you go a card if you get the odd, like, muscly black guy up there, they're fucking scary people. Like, do you know what I mean? And they're like, "Yo, you white boy," you're just like, "What the fuck is this? I'm in for a shoplift."
yeah,
I think it's a Cat B as well up there. It's different, like, do you know what I mean? So, I got up there, and I just in my head, I'm getting on the meth, I'm getting on the meth, getting on the meth. And I was tuned up with Levi, who came up with me, Levi Galwell, and he was like, "Just come on the normal wing. I'll look after you." He's been in jail all his life. He knew my uncle. And I just weren't having none of it. I said, "I'm having my meth." So I ended up getting the meth, and it dawned on me the mistake I made when they went, "Mace, you go in a B wing, drug wing, because when you're on the meth, you have to go on the drug wing." And I realized I made a mistake when the fucking all the gangsters on the induction wing who were going to all the other wings went, "Oh, fucking hell, mate, good luck." And I said, "Why?" They went, "You're going to the fucking worst jail, the worst wing." And I've got these big fucking evil looking men who were in for serious charges telling me B wing's the worst wing. I'm like,
oh,
"Damn."
Jesus Christ.
And I went on the wing, and it's the double of A wing, the size of it. I think it holds like fucking Cardiff prison holds like 500. I think no, about 800 people. There's like 180 people on a wing. But like on this one wing, the old side of Birmingham, it's like 300, 400 people on one wing. 5 landings, goes on for like half a mile. And I went on there, and you could just see everyone. You know when like someone new comes on the wing, just out, you
Yeah,
just feel
everyone's
all the
looking.
eyes on you. What's he got? What's he got? What's he got? And I broke down. I went straight to the phone and broke down. And I could still feel the eyes on the back of me. I rung my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm in Birmingham." He said, "You what?" I said, "Dad, I'm in Winton Green, Dad. You need to get me out of here." And he's like, "What the fuck?" I went, "I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm just." It was mad. And then basically, fucking, he said, "I'll speak to Declan," thinking my solicitor would do something. Got toed up with this mad Stoke lad who tried intimidating me. I had none of it. And then I had this little guy called Pricey, this little traveller man. He was a yam yam from Wolverhampton, and he pulled me, and he said, "Where are you from, mate?" And I said, "Cardiff." And he went, "Oh, what's your family name?" Thinking like, the travellers. "What family are you from?" I went, "Oh, the Macy's from Cardiff." And he went, "Oh, like as if I was a traveller." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," like as if he'd know, like.
Mm.
He went, "Oh no, you look like a traveller." And I was like, "No." We started naming traveller families from Cardiff, and I said, "I know him." And then he went, "Do you want me to show you your other mates, all the other Welsh boys?" I went, "What? There's other Welsh boys on the wing?" He went, "Yeah, follow me, follow me." Took me up this fucking landing and all that. And, like, I remember opening the door, and it was like being back in Cardiff prison. It was just like 6 Valley boys in there just having a laugh. And I just felt at home. And
Yeah.
he left me, and they shut the door. And they could tell I was a new boy, like first time in, young kid. I was only 22, 23, and they were like, "Listen, mate, you'll see things in this prison that you would never see in any jail. Never mind Cardiff. Just stick with us. You'll be okay," like type of thing. And I think some of them had been there a while, quite respected. And there was the one kid sat on the back, and he looked just broken. The guy looked broken. He was from Swansea. And he perked up and said, "Yeah, this jail's no joke. I've been here the longest." He said, "I've been here for about 8 months now." And he said, "I've seen about 4 people hung themselves. I'm seeing stabbings every other day. And like people I've known have died on this wing." And I was just like, "What the fuck?" And it's scary because up there, like, they don't give
On
a
your
fuck.
own full
Don't
on, mate,
give
as
a
well.
fuck.
And you like, so I want to circle back just to a couple of things, mate.
Okay.
So the first thing which struck me, when you went on the run,
Yeah.
your partner went with you. Like, what was that like for her, and like her decision to come with you and stuff like that? Like, when you look back at that now, like, what sort of impact was what was going on with you having on her?
Well, I used to just look at her like she's a dumb bitch for following
Mm,
me. But now I look at her and I feel sorry for the girl. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And we've spoken since I've got clean, and she forgives me for what it is, and I'm sorry for
Do
I've
you find it hard to
apologized.
forgive yourself, mate?
No, yeah, sorry. Like I can't forgive myself sometimes. It's
Mm.
hard.
That's right. Like, because I just to different situations, different scenarios and stuff. But like some of the stuff which I've done, which I'm not proud of, I find like the people I've got in touch with or people I've spoken to, like they they're quite forgiving and understanding, whereas I'm like, no, not at all. Like I completely opposite, and I want.
I
It's almost
can't
like
forgive.
you want him to be annoyed with you, or you want him to be like hold a bit of a grudge because you've done certain things. Like I say, it might be different for you, mate, but just from my personal experience, like I just wondered, like when you went on the run and she made the decision to go with you and stuff, what what it
You know,
what it was like for her, like 'cause
yeah, no,
it's not the
it was
most
horrible.
normal of situations, is it?
It's not. No, it's not. And she was a normal girl as well. Like I said, she left her job to come and take me shoplifting and stuff. And
Yeah,
but I can forgive myself because I always play some things like I don't as much now, but especially when I first got clean, I play everything back in my head. And if I've got the picture in my head, I've done it, so I can't forgive
hmm
myself. But then, I hope they forgive me. But how can they forgive me if I can't forgive myself? So it's like a
yeah,
process I've had to go through. But sometimes, I look back and I think, what a horrible, selfish man I was.
mm,
And like I said, there was there's girls who I was with who like ex-partners who take drugs with me, and I blame myself. But now as well, though, as much as I was as bad as it was, I've learned that they are their own person,
yeah.
and no one forced me to take drugs, so they shouldn't put that on me, and that's how I live with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair enough as well, isn't it? If you're not forcing someone to do something, then it's kind of on
Never,
them.
never, ever, ever did I do anything like that. Ever in a million years did I force anyone to take something. Did I ever? Because what I have witnessed myself is a lot of people will like not honey trap them, but they will like kind of entice someone to take
Yeah,
drugs, even though they don't know where to get it from or how to do it purposely. So when they need to get it, you have to score the drugs for them, and you have to do the drugs for them. Things
yeah,
like that. Mine was never like that. And she used to be more like, "Let me try it then. Let me try it," and I wouldn't
mm,
like. It just got to a point where it just happened. Like, and
yeah, for
it's
sure,
sad
mate.
as it is. That's what happened, and I'll never forget the day. It was the second time I got sentenced when she fucking because she stuck by me through that sentence. Because what happened was, going back to it, is I eventually got called to go to Stoke Heath from Birmingham, and
Mm,
that's up north, Shropshire, shithole. Chad Evans was in there when I was there. I actually had trials for the football team. Stoke Heath there's only 2 football teams in the prison system who go out and play. Stoke
right,
Heath
okay.
being one of them. Probably that's why they got Chad Evans there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I applied. I tried trials just to get out of the cell, and I was fucking shit. But yeah, she used to come and visit me all the time, and yeah, and then when I got out, I lasted 2 months, I think, started taking drugs. The thing is with me, the problem with me was I always thought I was ready to come off drugs, but I just want to have one more smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Well,
out.
I think it's common, isn't it? There's common in it, all addiction.
Yeah, because
The
it got taken
gambler
away
wants to
from
have, I'm gonna have this bet today and then I'm done.
me.
Or
Yeah,
this drinkers, I'm gonna have a few beers tonight and then I'm done. Or where wherever it may be, it's the same. I think in all addiction because it's like a mental thing. You convince yourself that you're ready, but you're not because
no,
otherwise you wouldn't be having this one last go. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, like obviously, like from what you've said, you weren't ready for prison, not just like mentally and stuff like that, but also from a addiction point of view. Like you were clucking, you were a full blown addict by then, going into the prison system. And I wanted to ask you just very briefly, like about um, drugs and addicts going into the prison system. Like to me, as someone, well, I haven't been to prison, so I haven't experienced it. But for looking from the outside, it almost feels like when people get sent to prison, that should be the time where the authorities and the system is trying to help them get clean, so that when they do get out, they don't just go straight back to go and score or to go back to it. And I
yeah,
know that might be like in some ways that's almost like you're being a bit optimistic. You've got to live in the real world, but there is an opportunity there. I'm not saying for everyone, but there is an opportunity there for some people to help them get clean while they're in prison. So maybe they've got something to go out, or maybe they can turn their life around afterwards. And I know, which we're going to talk about in a bit, like you're doing a lot of work with trying to help people, and your message now in present day is very much like a positive one, and trying to help people recover and get back to where they want to be. But like, what's your thoughts on the way the prison system deals with addicts? Because it sounds to me like you went in like you were clucking and that you needed your drugs basically, but you didn't have access to them because you didn't have your methadone script, you didn't have your drugs. You've kind of got through the initial period, struggled, but you've got through it, and then obviously you've seen people and then the access has become a bit easier, so you're back on it, and then it's kind of like you said, when you got out of prison, you lasted a couple of weeks, but then you were straight back to it. Do you think, looking back in hindsight, there was any opportunity during your two or your stays in prison? Was there a missed opportunity for you to get clean then?
um,
Like if you'd had the right support and met the right people, I mean, like if the things were in place, do you
yeah.
think that they would have been possible?
Well, definitely, yeah. Like the right support is massive, but I just don't think that anyone with a drug addiction should go to prison. Okay, if you've murdered or if you've raped someone or you've done something horrific, then it don't matter what you're on.
Yeah, like I
But
get that yours was a persistent
I
shoplifting
just don't
crime,
think,
whatever. But like,
yeah,
how was that? That didn't help you, did it? It didn't help society. Like, I get people. There'll be people who will say, "Oh, Bill, you were constantly shoplifting. You were causing damage to local businesses, or whatever it may be." Like, yeah, you had to get off the streets. You had to be punished and stuff like this. But ultimately, like sending you to prison didn't. At
no.
that point, it didn't rehabilitate you.
I never
Yes,
got clean. I never got clean because
didn't
I
yeah,
was
you
a
didn't get
drug
clean.
addict.
So what what like what did it achieve sending you to prison? I guess the only thing would
Um,
be it stopped you shoplifting for a
it, it,
while.
pro- no, it prolonged me getting clean
Yeah.
because
Did it damage your mental health, mate, going to prison?
massively,
Because I
very,
think of it,
very
I don't
paranoid
think
person.
I don't think I'd be able to cope with it now, and I certainly don't think I'd have been equipped to cope with it when I was
Yeah,
20,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
25,
It
whatever.
has, and not just that. Prison makes you. I know it sounds cheesy, but it does make you a better criminal. I went from going
You're mixing with criminals
every
every day, mate, aren't you?
well, I went to
At the end of
prison
the
the
day.
first time, then I went to prison like in the same year, but then it went really like every other year. Then I went after it would be like every couple of months, and it was like every other year because I just got better at what I'd done,
Mm.
learning stuff. I never once tried. If anything, like I said, it's that when you're in there, you're like a caged animal, and you just want to go back. I always use this analogy of prison, and this is what I as it as, right? And I got two things I want to say about it. So the first thing I want to say is methadone is a harm reduction tool. methadone don't get you clean. It makes you worse. I think people take it just for an excuse to get an extra buzz. You can still use on top, and it ruins your body. The one thing that don't make sense about prison is people will go in there. If you're on a methadone script, you miss for 3 days. They'll take you in. They'll rapid detox you off your methadone, but then 4 or 5, you'll get clean in prison. Yeah, at that time, and then
Mm.
4 or 5 days before you're about to leave, they'll put you back on a methadone script because they don't want you to OD when you get out. So you're just giving them another habit on top for nothing, even though they've been clean all the way. You took the methadone off them in prison, yeah, when they came into prison to make them go looking around for drugs on the wings, or
Yeah.
if they got clean, and then you put them on a script at the end to come and now they've got to go every single day to pick up their methadone around other addicts. I think that's ridiculous.
So
And
just
sorry,
for people who don't know, mate, I was just going to say, what is methadone ultimately?
methadone is a synthetic or a man-made drug. I think it was invented like in the early 60s, or even people say during the war, like Hitler was the one who invented it for his soldiers and stuff. But it's a substitute to opiates. Um,
Doesn't it block the high from like heroin and opiates and stuff like that, or is that not
no,
right?
no, 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 no. That's Subutex
All
or
right, great.
naloxone, naltrexone,
Things like
Buvidal,
that.
which I'm on. But yeah, that blocks the receptors.
Got you.
But not methadone is basically a
Just
liquid
to
form of
yeah,
heroin.
that's
So
mad, that isn't it?
yeah, it is
That's
mad.
what they
It's
would give
very
you.
cheap, very cheap, and it's a worse detox than
So do they?
heroin itself.
Sorry, mate, to interrupt you there.
Go on.
I was just going to say, like, so in the in the prison system, and maybe like the authoritative kind of where they're dealing with like addicts who are criminals and stuff like that. Is it like, or he's addicted to heroin, so they just chuck there you have methadone and kind of just leave him to it, or is it um like more of like a last resort type thing? Like
I
how
think
easily
it's
would
more.
they?
I think
Because
it's
what?
more of
Sorry,
just.
the reason I ask you that, mate, is because one of my problems, as I discussed in part one, is I have to take really strong painkillers, oxycodone, on a daily basis to be able to get out of bed, exception, etc., etc. But also, my body's addicted to it because I've been taking it since 2008
Can
every
I tell
single
you
day.
something? Can I tell you
Yeah, go
something,
on.
Si? If you've done a crime now, yeah,
Yeah,
Matt, if you've done a crime now, right? What medication you on? OxyContin. If you done a
oxycodone. Yeah.
if you done a crime now, yeah, you would go to prison and they would take you off your OxyContin and they would put you on methadone because it is the
That
same
is
effects,
frightening, man.
but but your OxyContin is tablet form, which means you might be able to palm it and sell it.
That is
With
crazy to
methadone,
me.
you
That
can
is,
drink
mate.
it and you can't get away with
Yeah,
it. Or they would give you Esprinol, which is Subutex, which is under your tongue and it dissolves. It's a form of
right. Okay.
Subutex, but it's a dissolvable one. The amount of people I know in prison who have gone in with nerve damage, with anxiety, with Valium, pregabalin, all taken off, all rapid detoxed off,
Well,
and the most they get is paracetamol.
oh, mate.
Like, and Cardiff is the worst. Wales is the worst for it. In England, you hear in certain jails, certain private jails, yeah, they give you Valium. It's a known fact that in Cardiff, the healthcare is horrific.
But do you
Now,
know
the
why
last
that's
3
frightening, mate? Because
it is frightening. People have hurt themselves with it.
if I just stopped my medication, because I'm aware that my body's addicted to it, even though I've never abused it, I've never gone over my dosages, stuff like that. Like I know my body is addicted to it. So like if I miss a dose, I clock in. But my doctor told me when I said to him, look, I've been taking this for like 8 years, or so no, not 8 years, since 2008. I know that this is not good for me. Is there anything which I can do to be able to treat my pain and stuff, but like not be addicted? And he said, if you come off the medication you're on and just come off it, he said you'd be more at risk of like dying than you are when you take it every single day. Because he
Yeah,
said people don't realize the reaction, and this isn't me being like getting it off the streets or being addicted to any sort of street drug. This is something which has been prescribed to me by a doctor. I've never abused it, but yet that's the effect it would have if it was stopped. And like, I think the reason I asked about the methadone script is because I do think, I'm not necessarily saying in my case, but I do think doctors in the UK and the Western world, mate, particularly, they're very, very quick to dish out medication, but they're really quick to dish out opioids, antidepressants, anything which causes like long-term reliance and can lead to more problems in the long term if it's not really, really closely managed. And I don't like it. I got a real big problem with the opioid. I think there's
Yeah,
a massive opioid crisis within the Western world,
of
and I
course it
think
is. Look at America.
people
Look
are
how
just
many
not
people
awake
are
to it.
addicted. My uncle in my uncle in America, he had a bad accident on a Harley Davidson. He got addicted by his doctor to OxyContin, same as you.
Mm.
Come over to England. My uncle who lives here, my nan phoned my uncle, which is her son. Your cousin's over here from America. Can you get him Subutex? We have to post him a load of Subutex
I
up,
know.
like dodgy as fuck. And then when he ran out, when he was over there and here, he became a heroin addict from an accident on a motorbike.
Scary, mate.
His
That isn't it?
shoulder, he looked like he was like bit by a shark. He was fucked. But that was he got addicted to
Scary.
OxyContin and then became
Scary,
a
mate.
yeah, it is scary. And like you said, going back to it, the amount of people like yourself, Simon, who probably go in for silly stuff, domestic violence, a nuisance with a neighbour, and paid fines. Old people on Valiums or on pre-gambling or on stronger painkillers who actually end up getting taken off them. It's as
Mm.
if like the prison system punish you. It's like a punishment. And I always
Well,
say,
of
you
course,
go
it's a
to jail.
punishment. I can hear people saying, "Well, of course, it's a punishment. You're there because you committed a crime."
But
But
listen, no, listen. You go to jail as a punishment. You don't go to jail to be punished.
yeah, there's a difference in there. And like, I always was when I was little, like I always thought like you're supposed to go to prison to learn your lesson and come back out and then try
There's
and
no
get your life back
reform.
together. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a rehabilitation. But just wrapping up on like the prison thing because I do want to get to the positive side of what you're doing now and like because you're doing such amazing work, mate. So with the prison, what's the scariest thing that you witnessed firsthand in prison?
I think there's a couple of ones I've seen. I've heard people. I've been locked up in a cell when the other landings on Spit Social open, and I've heard people blood-curdling screams where people are being scalded in a cell. I've seen someone run down the wing with his face peeled off. When I was in Stoke Heath, the Scousers used to ask, because I worked in the kitchens, the Scousers used to buy blocks of lard off me because they used the lard in the hot water to
Mm,
peel people. Um, I've seen someone hold his face together when he's just been cut. I've seen people's cells, vulnerable people's slicer. Um, I've seen a couple of things. One of them, I accidentally walked in. I didn't realise a couple of the boys I know in Cardiff were actually stood against the door. I've looked inside the door, and the man is literally on the blood all over the cell and is literally on the floor getting stamped on. It was horrific. He was held hostage in the cell, basically. Yeah, I've seen a couple of horrific things. There's been one
again,
where
so that sort of stuff. Like, did you find that hard to get out of your head, like those images, and like, did it have an effect on like your anxiety, your OCD, your mental health,
what
or were you because you were so addicted and doing drugs, was it kind of able to cope with it, seeing those things that way?
I think if I went back to jail now, it'd all come back. When I'm in
Yeah,
that environment, you think about
yeah,
it, and when you're in that environment, you smell the smell of the prisons and like them things you don't forget. Like there
of
are
course
certain
not.
ones
No,
that do I remember and like it's bad. Like I remember there was the cell across the road from me, and I heard the kid in there doing something. The next day, they've opened the cell and he's hanging from the cell, and you can only see briefly the screws moving him, but like he's dead. It's fucking horrific what happens in there. Really bad, and I've seen. Listen. It's a very, very volatile, paranoid-filled place where everyone's just watching everyone, and
yeah.
I've seen people get beat up in the showers.
What
You,
about
I know,
like the like in movies and TV? You very I know which I get is it's not necessarily real, but like we do see TV and movies more and more
drop the
based in
soap and
yeah
all
yeah.
that.
Like what about like that side of things?
Well,
Do
I've heard, your Cat A prisons, your double Cat A prisons are renowned for like people who get raped. And when I was in Birmingham, people were saying that people were getting raped in the showers, but
Mm.
I never seen any of that. I
Did
put
you be
jail down.
worried about that though? Did that
I
cross your
was,
mind?
to be honest, right? People used to laugh at me. I was the one who would literally stand in the shower, bollock naked, and just don't
Mm.
give a fuck. People looking at me. Everyone's got their boxer shorts on. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big guy, but if there's a guy from Cardiff, I won't say his name, but he was in Dartmoor and he was targeted. He was the wrong man, wrong identity, and he got scars all over his face and all on his back from when he was in the shower. They just cut him. What can you do when you're in the shower with your clothes off?
No.
They went to
And he
town.
was the, and he wasn't the target. He was the wrong
Wasn't
guy.
the target.
Fucking hell.
There's loads of would
Well,
come to me,
so
but
sorry, mate. I'm really
what
sorry, mate. It's just
you
I
want to get it out.
questions to come in. Yeah. So like with that, so say for instance that guy's been attacked in prison, or say you got attacked when you were in Cardiff or Birmingham, whatever. Like had your face sliced up. They'll ask you who done it, blah blah blah. Like what happens is there like a full blown
It's not.
investigation? Do they don't give a fuck because
It's not
it's prisoners.
formal. Oh, do you know what? You've just actually reminded me. Actually, so 2 times, right? This is an example of someone getting in trouble for something they've done. Now, when it comes to beatings, people don't really talk. If it does, they'll probably get CC, which is go down the block, they'll get you a nicking. That's it. I haven't really seen many people who have been scalded and not get into trouble. The slicings, people won't grass them up because if you get grassed up, you're going to get it
Yeah.
yourself. Simple as it's the code. But there's 2 of them that I have witnessed, which I don't fucking agree with one bit. And the one I was told was a lie, and he just tried to make money for it. And the other one I know for certain is true. So there was this one boy in Cardiff who came in with supposedly drugs, and he was only about 19, 20. He was just fitting to come onto the landings as an adult. And they went up his ass with a spoon. 2 of them held him, and they put a spoon up his ass
Mm.
to get the drugs, and he was beat up. But I've seen the beating on him. He was battered, like
Jesus.
you couldn't see his eyes. Yeah, when he got out, he went to a vulnerable wing. They were nicked, and when I got released from prison, when I came back, they had finished their sentences, but they were on remand for what happened that time. Otherwise, they would have been out. But there's another one which I know is for certain, and that's my other friend. I'm not going to say his name. DM, that's his initials. That's what I'm going to say. He had drugs on him, and the 2 people who done him knew him. They've been through the system for years, and they actually went up him. They knocked him out. Someone put him in a sleeper, and the other person went up him, and they had drugs, and he had I think like 24 stitches on his ass from where they've gone up his ass, and these 2 knew him as well. So you can't trust anything in that system.
Friends like those, mates.
Yeah,
Good.
they done time
You
for
know what I
that. They
mean,
done an
mate?
extra 4 years for that.
It's just
But
crazy to me,
I
mate.
just want to wrap up the prison thing quickly, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right. So there's 2 separate things. So prison is what you make it. If you want to go around like you're the big I am, then you're guaranteed gonna get a comeuppance. And if you go around owing people money, whether that's ticking burn or well now it's the vape. So if you're ticking oils or you're ticking fucking food for canteen, whatever it is, and you don't pay, you get in there. If you go to jail, you get your head down, you're respectful to everyone, you do your work, you get a job there. Um, you'll go through your jail as smooth as that. It's as simple as that. The number 2 thing as well for addiction, I looked at it like this, yeah. So like when you're on drugs, when you're on opiates, you got an addiction. It's like they say you have a monkey on your back,
Mm.
and I got that monkey on my, I just can't shake it off. And I believe when you go to prison, if you're an addict and you get caught and you get arrested, um, you go in one cell and the monkey goes in the other cell. And what happens is every day you're in that prison, you're going to work or you're lying on your bed, you're socializing, you're just getting your head down. The monkey's in the other cell next to you and he's doing press ups, he's doing squat thrusts, he's doing burpees, he's fucking looking in the mirror like that.
Mm.
When you go out and you get released, yeah, you come out one door, the monkey comes out of the other door, you both meet up and he jumps on your back and he is hench and he's fucking dragging you wherever you want to fucking go. And that's the analogy I have for addiction and being in prison, coming out with an addictive mind. That
Yeah.
monkey is the fucking one going to sway you round and say, you're coming with me and you're going to go and take this. And that's what someone once told me years ago. And I couldn't put it better.
So, I think that's a phenomenal analogy, and it's a great metaphor. What about so you come out of prison? Like, how do you go from addict in prison? 2 weeks later, you're back on, back on the drugs and stuff. Like, how do you go from that to clean and turning that corner to 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 living a better life?
Okay, so obviously, 10 years after that first sentence, no, sorry, tell a lie, because the first half of my addiction, I went in prison. So
Mm.
5 years after my first sentence, I'm now it's 2019. I'm at the end of my tether. I only injected heroin once. I always smoked it. My chest is really bad. My partner's saying I'm worried. It's like you're death rattling, and I knew my time was coming. That something was going to happen to me because my health was really really bad. The shoplifting as well. I had to think of another way to make money because I was known I'm a known face, and you know I became a professional shoplifter. And what I used to do is me and my co-defendant, who would take me everywhere, used to go all the South Wales, West Wales, Mid Wales. We'd go Southwest England and even up to the Midlands, and we'd hit all these certain shops. We'd get the maps on our phone, and we'd say we're going there tomorrow. We'd leave at 7 o'clock, and we'd make £400 or £500 a day if we went locally. If we went for a big one, sky's the limit. I think the most we ever made in a day was like three to 4 grand split. That's 2 grand each, and a load of goodies we've kept.
Mm.
Funny thing is, it don't matter what we made. The next day, I'm probably asking my mum for a cigarette because that's what happens with drugs. People say you should have been a millionaire. No, I
Yeah.
shouldn't have been a millionaire because, to be honest, if I didn't take drugs, I would never have shoplifted. So, it comes with the territory. So, what happened was, I got caught. Me and my friend, my co-defendant, we got arrested. We got rammed off the road. We did up in Celtic Manor roundabout. We done Ross on Wye. There was a hiking shop, and in there we've just done a big run around all of like Lydney, Colford, all them places. The car's full of Yankee candles. There's like 2 grand's worth of alcohol in there, like 20 pairs of sunglasses from Specsavers and Frings. And then up in the hatchback, we just done this hiking shop and we got about 20 fucking Rab coats and North Face coats and Acrotex coats. So we had a good little raise. We went back then from on the M50 from Ross on Wye to get home to Cardiff, and we must have made a mistake. Someone's clocked us in Ross on Wye. They've reported us, and then the cameras have followed the fucking plates. They were
Mm.
waiting on Celtic Manor roundabout for us. They rammed us off the road. We got arrested in Gwent. Got released. Went up to Hereford. Up in Hereford, I was given a suspended sentence and a tag brace. So don't get in trouble again. Next thing you know, I stopped shoplifting now. I says to my Cody, listen, we're not doing this no more. I can't do it. I don't ever want to go to jail. And it was coming up to 2019. It was coming up to 2020, and my New Year's resolution was that this year is the year that you won't commit a crime again. And that's it. Like I was for my habit. My dad was funding me money every day. I'd work in the office with him and stuff, and that's not what happened. And then, random enough, in 2020, I had lockdown happened, and my mate knocked my door out with the blue and said, "Let's just go out. I haven't seen you in ages." And I said, "Listen, I'm not doing this no more. I can't do it." He went, "Come on, let's not go shoplifting. Let's just go and have something to eat. I'm bored. I haven't seen you in ages." So we went out for food and whatever. And then when he dropped me home, he said, "Listen, Carl, it's my son's birthday tomorrow. I need to make some money. I'm fucking broke. Come out with me, please." And he ended up blagging me to do it. So I did. I said, "Okay, but we're not doing it in Wales. We're going out of the way, and I can't afford to go to prison," type of thing. What happened was, no, we did. Sorry. No, sorry. That's what happened. I got tagged, yeah, but they give me, I got caught for other shoplifts at West Wales at the time. So what they done was, I didn't want to go to prison. If I did go to prison, I didn't want to go up to England. So we both managed to get the court date adjourned and all together with the other offences from Hereford and the ones in West Wales to go to another place at West Wales. So it bought us some time, and it also got us in Wales to go to a Welsh prison. So when he knocked me, I said, "Listen, I'm on tag. I can't go to prison. I'm done with this life. Like, I can't. You can't either." We ended up going out. So we went out. Whatever happened, we ended up. Oh, fuck! It's mad. I got to really break this down because it is important. So this is what happened. Yeah, COVID was obviously happening during this time, and my dad would take me to get my methadone. And at the time, because like they didn't want people in and out every day to get their methadone, I was classed as a hectic user. So some people can get weekly takeouts, but if you're still like giving negative tests, you will have to come Monday to Friday and then have a weekend take home. They ended up giving me weekly take homes just because they didn't want people coming in because of COVID. So when that was happening, my dad would pick me up every week, take me. So the methadone was safe because it's 7 bottles of meth. That's my medication. It's like someone's epileptic tablets, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'd have them safe. Um, so I agreed to trade. Yeah, we'll go up the next day, but I got to get my meth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine, fine, fine. I'm gonna go with my dad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine. 7 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have a phone. I never had a phone when I was on drugs because I'd sell them. My dad calls me, Cullen, Jay's on the phone. He said he's coming to get you. I said, yeah, I got to get my meth first. My dad's saying, yeah, Jay, he said he'll come, but I'm going to take him to get his meth first. No, I'll take him. I'll take him. It's fine. I'll take him. My dad goes, he wants to take you. I said, oh, no. And somehow, I don't know how, I just said, come and get me. Let's go and get it. We went to go get my medication and basically picked up my meth and we went out on our travels. Um, then we went shoplifting. It was fine. We went back. I was on tag, remember, so I had to be in at 7 o'clock. And he was in a rush to get home as well. He drops me off. We went and scored drugs. Drops me off. As I get in the house, I says, "I'll see you tomorrow," because we had loads of goods we still had to sell. Yeah, no worries. I'll be up in the morning. I'll sell it. No worries. Cool. Boom. Goes home. I realizes my meth's in his car. Fuck. So I ring him. I goes, "Oh, listen, Jay, my fucking methadone's in your car. I need him, mate. I need the safe." "Oh, I'm not coming over now. I'm not coming over." I said, "No, that's fine." Now, he don't take uh, heroin. He used to smoke other drugs, crack and whatever, but he was never an opiate user, so I could trust him. But he got a girlfriend who was taking drugs, and I didn't trust her. So I said, "Will you take the methadone and put it in your house away from the car, just in case, because that's my life. Like, I need
Yeah.
that." Went home in the morning. My dad wakes me up. "Did you get your meth?" "Oh, Dad, I left it in Jay's car." "You stupid cunt! I told you, fucking bring it back. I knew I should have took you." I said, "Dad, calm down, like, fucking hell. It's like, Jay's gonna, I'm gonna get it." "No, I fucking knew it. I just feel like you just don't like." My dad knew something was gonna happen. I don't know how.
Yeah.
So I rings Jay. No answer. His missus answers the phone, and she never answers the phone. Uh, I love. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, basically, Jay's not waking up. We had an argument last night, and whatever else. I don't really want to go into too detail because I'm on the internet and I like any respect for
Yeah,
the
of course.
family.
Yeah.
Long story short, I goes out like apparently she's saying that he's taken one of my meth bottles during a fucking act, like drunk one of them.
Yeah.
So I've gone over and like maybe a selfish part of me as well. Like instead of like is he okay? I'm just fuming. He's taking my medication. Do you know what I mean? He's taking my meds. Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't believe. The reason I weren't like worried is because I didn't believe it. I don't think he's taking my meds. If anyone's took it, it's you because you're the one on drugs. So I've got over there. My dad's taking me over there, and he's there. He's there on the sofa, and he's breathing. I'm like, thank God for that. He haven't taken it. He's just sleeping. Goes upstairs. I guess my meds. Lo and behold, there's a bottle missing. Ends up going out with someone else, and I guess a phone call in the afternoon. Jay's dead. So
Wow.
he died. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Then later on that evening, I start feeling really ill. So I'm thinking, is it because I found out Jay's dead and like my immune system's down and something's got me? I don't know. I went to the doctor's emergency appointment. They said you need to go up to Landoc. I went to Landoc. They said I got an infection. They give me some tablets. On my way. 3 o'clock that morning, I woke up in a hot sweat. with stabbing pains, like literally someone was stabbing my back. I sits up, I'm losing my breath. I can't breathe. It's the first time I've ever felt this way. I literally thought I was going to die, and it was tightening up, catching, and then it was tightening up. I'm calling my dad, going, Dad, Dad. I couldn't hear him. Dad. He come out of his bedroom and I said, what's the matter? I can't breathe. I collapses, I'm out. I wakes up in the back of an ambulance going over Pennsylvania Road bumps with all fucking things in me, and I don't know what the fuck was the matter with me. I guess into hospital. There's these people rushing around me. I'm like, what's the matter? I'm in agony. I can't breathe. I got oxygen. What's the matter with me? We don't know. They put 2 fucking needles in this arm, 2 in that arm. I passed out again. I come round a day later. They're telling me, we don't know if you're okay. We don't know if you're going to make it. You've got sepsis,
Jesus.
like double sepsis. No, sepsis and double ammonia or something. Really fucking bad. And like I was there then for like 4 weeks, nearly a month. Yeah, there I
Yeah.
am. The first ones I had were worse. Trust me, really bad. But yeah. So whilst I was in there, then I was coming. I caught COVID. They thought. And then also, obviously, I was on a meth. I was really addicted to heroin at the time, really bad, and I was drinking alcohol, the strong kinds in the nights.
Yeah.
So I was coming off the alcohol, the heroin, and they didn't give me my meth. So I've asked them, "Where's my meth?" And they ended up coming one morning and saying the doctor has took you down to 30 mil of methadone because they found out that one of your bottles of methadone with your name on has been found in someone's house who's died. So they were classing like it was recklessness. So I got sepsis, pneumonia. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And during that time, I'd never been so scared. And I don't know. I don't believe in a high. I don't believe in like. I'm not very religious, but I do believe in a higher power. And I just was looking up and I prayed to someone. I said, "Listen, just get me through this, and I promise you, I will never take drugs again. I will help everyone, and that's what I'll do." The next morning, this guy comes through the door and he goes, "What's going on, Mr. Mace?" He went, "Look around you." He said, "Look around you." I said, "Yeah." He went, "This is B7. This is respiratory. Everyone around you is 60 plus. You're 29.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here. You're gonna die if you carry on. You are very lucky you're alive. There's 2 options. You either go back on your methadone, but you're only on 30 mil, and you have to go every single day, including weekends, or you go on this new injection, which is really big in Australia and Sweden, and you're going to be one of the first test vehicles in Britain for something called Buvidal, which is basically Buvidal, Buvidal, Buvidal. What it is basically an injection like a pregnancy rod, but it's a fluid. Goes in your bum, your arm, your stomach, and that releases a blocker in you. And once a month, and if you ever try to take anything, it just won't work. It's also got a bit of Subutex in it, so it won't make you cluck. And but basically, if and I knew though I heard of it, I heard of this thing coming out. I was quite
Yeah.
skeptical, but I thought if I take the methadone, I've just contradicted everything I've said the night before. This is someone telling me something here. So I said, yeah, okay, took it, and it was the best thing I ever done. Like I got out, got the injection, bloody killed, but I got on it. But this injection is what has been the missing link. Listen, there's all different types. I wouldn't say that this injection is a silver bullet for everyone because I was ready to come off. There's people
Yeah.
on this injection who still smoke crack and still take other drugs, but me, I
You
am
were ready, mate. You
I
were
was
ready.
ready from
You.
that. Yeah, exactly. And so
So
basically, from that, I'll just finish off the bit
yeah,
about
go on, mate.
so being on this, it makes you very clear-minded, and this is when I got clean for the first 2 months, I was really emotionally drained and really cried over everything. My senses were back. I played all my life through addiction like a movie, linear wise, and um, I thought that it was my responsibility with Jay dying. And then I think a couple of months ago, recently, like last month, we got a phone call saying that he died of bronchitis pneumonia. The drugs weren't enough to kill him, so it was like bittersweet that I knew that it
Yeah.
wasn't that. the kill. Not that it was my fault anyway. Like he's a grown man. He's like in his 40s, and he decided to take it. If he
Still
did
though, mate,
take
it's
it,
just you're
it's
human
still
being, isn't it?
bad.
It's your
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And he was my best mate. Literally, we took drugs together, but he was my best mate. He was the only one in
Yeah.
the drug game I classed as a friend, and I was so hurt that I never went to his funeral. But it is what it is, and I do. I've said it when I started, and I say it now, that he is watching down at me, and he is a part of why I do what I do now. It's in his name because he ain't here to do it. But I believe that whatever we took that night, the both of us got us both, and I was just younger and managed to survive it because he died and I went to hospital the next day. So
Yeah.
it's
100%,
crazy.
mate. Yeah. It's one of those we talked in the first episode about like those kind of like sliding doors moments, or like the junction where your life can go either way depending on what decision you make. Like you were ready. Was there a point where, like, because with any addict, when they're coming off or they're coming away or they're stopping what they're addicted to, there's quite often a period like where they've tried to go to rehab or they've tried to get clean before. They'll you'll be clean for a couple of weeks, months, and then undoubtedly they go back to it. Like, when was the point where you felt like you were through it? Because it's hard. It is hard, mate. When your body is addicted to something, it is very difficult to beat
I
that
thought, I
feeling.
thought, I thought, I thought the first month of being on the injection, it was too good to be true because, I'm waking up every single day having to top up my addiction, and for this injection to last a month, there's days where I'm thinking I'm going to start clucking now, I'm going to start feeling rough
Yeah,
now. So there's a big mental factor to it. But when I actually got through that month, on the second month, I realized this was my time. I knew in hospital I was done with it, but obviously the physical
yeah.
side of feeling the type of way is what I had to get through. And when I got through them first 2 months, I realized that this was my time. You know, it
I
just
think
it
with
just was.
any addiction, but drug addiction particularly, like there's wanting to be clean and get clean, and then there's further down the road, there's being clean. There's a big gap in the middle, and that gap is kind of where people end up doing a week, doing 2 weeks, going back, and like
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's just the way it is. Like, unfortunately and sadly, like
Well,
I
I
can't
think
tell you how much I'm so happy, mate, to know like that you were able to not only make the decision for yourself, but you were in a position and you had the support to follow through with it.
yeah.
Because look, I'll tell you something, mate, again about like the sliding doors and the moments. Your best mate had just died. How easy would it have been for you to as soon as you were well enough to go back out and just
Yeah.
get smashed because you want to forget about the fact that your mate's just died? And
Well, people say, don't they? Like what they said. Like, if there was any time to take drugs, it was
that
during
was probably it.
lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that as well.
Geez, yeah,
That's how I knew
100%,
it
mate.
was time.
You you picked like the hardest time possible to get clean, like, really.
Oh, is it the
It's
best time?
mad,
I
mate.
don't know. Like
Yeah,
2020
I
was
know,
the
I
best.
know, I know what you mean. Like, it was at the end of the day, you got clean, so it was the best time. But like, from just a generalization,
Yeah,
lockdown, your friends died. It's not a good time, is
it
it?
was not a good
Um,
time. No.
but I want to kind of finish off now with like the really positive side of like what's come from it, because you
Yeah,
got clean. Like, what was that like for your parents to finally like? They must, like, as a father myself, like I'm just thinking, your dad, particularly like your mum and dad, they must have been, and your friends and your family, like they must have been a point where they were like fuck for that, because they've
yeah.
had so much to deal with over the years through your addiction and the things that you were doing.
It
Like, there would have
was.
been times where they would have felt so helpless. Like, there must have been probably several moments of emotion
Yeah.
and stuff for them.
So obviously, I got out of prison, and the suspended sentence was still hanging over my head. So the first thing I done was go to probation, and they knew how serious it was with my friend dying, and then me nearly dying. They kind of believed for the first time ever that I wanted to change, so I started doing a lot of voluntary. and I actually started speaking I spoke in Uni South Wales once,
Okay.
which was really big for me to do. And I was doing a lot of voluntary with Kaleidoscope. Now, because of the Boobadal, I was one of the first ones. They wanted me for that as well. And, voluntary then was just sitting on a Zoom call because of COVID, so it was not too
Yeah.
bad. But at the time, like, it really kicked in. Them like, my mum and dad were proud. Was at the Christmas of 2020, the Christmas time. Basically, you know, my auntie and I were all sat there, they're all drinking, and my auntie said, "Oh, what a shit Christmas! How shit is this?" And my dad perked up. They were drunk, and I didn't like. He didn't know I heard him. He was like, "What you on about? What you on about? This is the fucking best year. My son's year. My son's back." And like my dad, he's my best mate. He's 10 feet tall to me, but he wouldn't say stuff like that to me. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird
Yeah.
relationship like that. And when I heard that, that's when I realized, like, fuck me, like I've done it. Like, and from that as well, like my brother, like my brother was one of the most talented rugby players you will ever see, and he was an all-rounder football. He went to Wigan, played rugby league for years, and when I got addicted to drugs, he was like, it was as if he was like a knock-on effect of me, and always went in my life. And he got addicted to weed, gambling. He got injured, really depressed, and we hated each other. We hated each other, and when I got clean, um, he kicked in a lot of his habits, and now he's a full-time spark and he's playing rugby again at a decent level. And it just made the whole family uplifted. It even
Yeah.
had my uncle, even my uncle now, like, even though he's still on drugs, like, he's calmed down, and he rings me asking for help because of obviously where I'm working. He wants
Yeah. Of
help on
course.
the Booverdal and stuff. So, that's when I realized how, this is amazing type of thing. With the Booverdal as well, like I said, there's some people who still take drugs, but it worked wonders for me because on part one I talk about my OCD and how being taking crack magnifies things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd only take crack if I had heroin to come down. So when I tackled the heroin problem with the Booverdal, I also tackled the crack problem. So it was amazing, and I just kept on sticking with the voluntary work. And also at that time, I met Tom Sage in the barbers. I was getting my haircuts at lockdown. He used to come to I was stuck to my dad's hip as well. So when I was clean, I'd go down the call center and try and learn things because I wanted to start doing something properly as a career. I was hanging around my dad and his partners who've got nice cars and positive minds, and that helped me through stuff. And the one day Tom came down the office to cut my hair, and I was talking. I wanted to start writing music again. I was writing music,
Yeah.
and he said, "You're a good talker, you are." He said, "You shouldn't do music. You should do a podcast." And I was a big podcast fan at the time as well.
The idea was born, mate.
That's where the idea was born. In the actual studio we are, it was
Mhm.
actually full. It was like a scene of Breaking Bad. It was just full of hand sanitizers and masks and stuff because my dad was selling the PPE bit stuff during lockdown. It
Yeah.
was surreal. I'd have to get a photo for you, but that was the start of the podcast journey, and also it all started to come together because I never ever, even when I was on drugs, I never had no money for my mental health, none of that stuff. And like, I got on benefits for the first time, which I never always wanted to go on anyway. I'd rather work, but things like that never went my way before started to go my way. And I met my partner, who I'm happily with now, and would like to see a bright future with. And also like the job, so when I was doing all this voluntary work, Rondine, who was on my podcast, she was like a big mentor to me, and she said, "You just be fucking amazing for this job, and if there's anything that comes up, you will be first in line." And we had a phone call about, gosh, like 6 months ago now, and they said, "There's a job coming up, and putting your name forward. Let's get it." And she actually made basically like trained me. She told me all the questions and the answers before. I shouldn't say it really, but before the interview, like, because they were that dead set in getting me the job, and it's the best job ever. Like right now, I'm in such a good place, and yeah, it gets stressful at times. I'm really busy, and my mental health is still. I always say, like, mental health addiction. It don't have a graduation date. You're battling every single day. I still get days where I think, fucking hell, I should just fucking leave it all and go and smoke a fucking bag of gear, or I just think, fuck this, my life is fucking too chaotic, but I wouldn't have it any other way now, and what I'm doing, I know I'm doing a good thing. So,
What's it
it's
feel like to help people, mate? After all the things, like you mentioned, you got quite emotional in part one, where you were thinking back of some of the shit you've done. You talked about some stuff you hadn't talked about before, about stuff you'd done to other people, and also, you talked about deceiving people and begging and stuff like that. Like, how does it feel now, knowing that when you get up in the morning, you're going to go and help people?
yeah, it's a special feeling, to be trusted. Number one, because I could go out and do it myself anyway, but to be trusted by a charity to be one of the forefronts of a project is really special, and I
One of the
still see,
faces of it, mate. You know what I mean? Like, you're one of the faces of it, especially through the podcast. Like, you're going to be, especially in the local areas, like, you're going to be very well known. People are going to know your face. So,
I
like, that trust is immense, I think, and something you should be really proud of, mate, to be at the end of the day. Like, we've talked a lot about some of the stuff which maybe you're not proud of, but ultimately, I'm a big believer in focus on the stuff that you can control, but also focus on the good shit you've done. Because what people do, and everyone's guilty of this, especially in 2021, where you've got the technological revolution, where we're able to do a podcast like this in different places. But like, what people don't sometimes do is people just don't take in the good stuff, the ride, mate. And like, the one thing I didn't do at the start of my podcast, because I was quite anxious about it and stressing about different stuff. The one thing I didn't do enough was just take in and enjoy the ride, and just enjoy the fact I was getting to speak to all these mad people who I probably didn't think I was going to get the opportunity to. And I think what I want you to do, just as a mate, like, is I want you to just really take in what you're doing and what you're achieving now, because it could have gone a very different way for you, bro. And I think that's good. That makes me happy that it hasn't gone that way for you and you've managed to turn it around, because, I'm a nice guy. I like people. I don't always like speaking to people, but I like people. And I like, me and you got on very well in the time that we've been speaking. And I'm a big believer in it's never too late. Um,
it's
and
not,
something
it's
we
not.
talked about on the mental health shows when we were discussing, like, people with someone who's had a lot of suicidal thoughts and suicide attempts, is if you're still breathing, then it ain't too late. And I think that's a massive message to anyone, whether it's addiction, whether it's like suicidal thoughts or mental health or depression. Like, if you're still breathing, you can still fight, you can still get there. And I think to go from where you were to where you are in a pretty short time
Yeah,
is fucking immense, mate. And I think not only do you deserve a lot of credit, but you should be really proud of it, mate. And I'm sure that, like, your family and that are exceptionally proud of what you're doing now. Um, the
yeah.
Central Club, mate, is something which, like, I love it, mate. I do, because one, I love the fact, like, I had a conversation. I think it was with you, but I also had a conversation with a couple of other people. Like, to me, I look at sometimes online and I see the Central Club and I see Ace Podcast Nation, I see Experience Real, and I think, fucking hell, that's like three top notch podcasts coming out of Wales without having to, like, focus on beefs and arguments and negativity. Like, all of
We
it,
need
all
to do
three
an
of them are
award.
like,
We're gonna need
mate,
to do an award soon.
yeah,
Like a
who
Welsh
can be the most
podcast.
positive? Yeah, yeah. But then, like, I look at the grime scene in Wales. It's incredible, mate.
Can
Some
I
of the
say
talent
something,
which is there,
Ronaldo?
mate.
Can
Yeah,
I
go on.
say something? And I said it on a podcast on a catch up because I was a grime MC, and I still write from time to time. Listen to me, right? It's actually very sad that in Wales, like, people don't elevate each other in the music scene. People hold on to it. Whoever got like a bit of it, they don't share it. And I see that. I don't know if anyone else does, but
I
people
just
are very
think
negative and there's no
podcasts,
supporting. The
yeah, mate. I
podcast
think
game
everything,
isn't going to be
podcasts,
like that.
music. If you all come together, I believe that you can promote each other and talk to each other, and you'll achieve more. Like I've seen certain podcasts who are much bigger than me, like over in England and stuff like that, who can be quite like they're almost like a bit greedy with the guy. They don't want to help you get guests that they've had on, and I don't really understand that because what I can guarantee, mate, right, is you did Joe's experience reel, and I did Joe's experience reel
I
as
don't
well,
think I
right?
said much different. I didn't. I don't think I said like most of the stuff I'm saying on here on his.
You will always guess different stuff, mate, isn't it? And like the same for me. Like I've talked with you about stuff from which is going on with me or my life in the two shows that I didn't mention in the show with Joe, which I
Of your
did,
own.
which I was talking about. But it's just different people get out
Yeah,
different
and we'll
stuff, and
get you on ours, and you will say because it's not just like what you're saying; it's the way we go about and how we
yeah,
open up
exactly. You ask
things.
different questions,
Like
and
I
I
was
didn't.
quite surprised with some of the things you like for example, you know, when I was saying just then, like about the prison stuff, I think I was going to go on to something else, like I would in someone else's interview. But you're like, wait a minute, I got a question for this, and it's like you open up doors for other things, and I like the way you interview as well, Simon. It's
I
really good.
appreciate that, mate.
Like I'm like Joe's was great. With Joe's, it's more like I just was able to just run free with it type of thing, you know. But
Yeah,
I do like like the nitpicking, like asking questions as well, and you're really good at that. Like so, it's
I appreciate
interesting.
that, mate. And I appreciate like you said some kind stuff on the live stream we done last night to promote this, and mate, I appreciate that massively because like I'm open about this. Like I'm quite jealous of what you have got and what Joe have got because the one thing which I want to get in is a studio, and it's just at the moment it
I'm very
hasn't
lucky.
quite got
I'm.
there. Like,
Can
but
I
it
just
makes a
say
difference,
something?
mate. It makes an
Can I just
absolute
say something
difference.
though? Can I just say something? Because
Yeah,
like
of course
people
you
need
can.
to know this. Like right, like I'm very lucky to have something sat there which is just like we had Darren G down, and Darren's like, you should be in this every single day. Like we had Decker.
Yeah,
I wish I had this, and you know, like, but like it balances out because like I'll work, like I want to work to being greater and like more like better at interviewing and getting good guests and having a following. You've already got that. You got to work to get in the studio, but I'm working to get what you've got. Do you see what I
yeah,
mean? To balance it out, and not just that though. Like I, you know, I got this because my dad's got an office where I managed to use one of the rooms. People need to know that if I didn't have this, like I'd be the exact same as you, doing it from a Zoom call, or maybe manage to get a garage or something if I'm very lucky. Like it costs money. It costs money. Like like my dad, there's three of them. Like I don't just get it for free. Like we have to
yeah,
pay
yeah,
for it. So
100%.
we're very lucky to have the space and have it left there. It's not like we rent it, put the equipment, take it. It's sitting there. Like so, we're very lucky in that sense. But we still pay for it, and like I don't take it for granted one bit. I really, really don't. You know.
But
So
mate, at the end of the day, though, right? Just because I get what you're saying, like you're lucky and that, but ultimately, mate, just because you got the space, just because you got the equipment,
all
doesn't
the gear,
mean
no idea.
doesn't mean, mate, does it? You got to still be able to do what you're doing, and I think it goes massively into like the fantastic shit you're doing, mate. I think you could just sit there and do shit shows, like, but you still have the nice space and the all
I
the
look back.
equipment.
I look back though at like even like episodes from 10 down, like not just episode one. Like I look back and we've came on so much. I was very, very, very nervous. Like,
You grow though, mate. You get used to like
yeah, yeah, we're
talking
getting
to
there.
people
We
and
are
doing
getting
it.
there.
I can't even watch my first episode, mate. I
I know. I won't
cringe,
watch
mate.
it. It was just because you know when you go on the YouTube channel, it was always like the home video.
Yeah,
It's
I had
terrible,
to
so I
change
have to
mine.
change it because if everyone looks at that and goes, "What? This is them. This is like," so we changed it to like the most recent ones we've done. But you know, like it's a learning curve, and like we said, everyone, all of us do something different. Different. We bring something different. We bring out things off other people different. You know, like come on, like you know, you if I got a guest, like you know, fuck, you got him. I'm pretty sure he's gonna want to tell his story. We said the other day, people love to tell their story. People love to talk about
Yeah,
themselves.
people like talking,
So,
mate.
so they'll probably go on to 20 if they can. You know, you're not going to be the only one they go on. Do you know what I mean? So, but I do love, you know, and also it's healthy. It's healthy. What's it called? Like competition. You know, like Mane and Mo, like it's the healthy competition, like between us.
Yeah, man.
But we're probably more respectful than Mane and Mo
Yeah.
because you know it is what it is. You filming me there, my missus' phone in the background. No, we are more. I think Welsh people in general are just more like get along more anyway. But like I do think the podcast. I said this to Joe, and I'll say it to you now. Now I speak to you. We need to be working together. We can't be like the music scene or like the film scene. We need to
100%,
be
mate.
the trendsetters of working together works and
Why,
unity.
I know, why wouldn't you want to do it? Why wouldn't you want to all elevate each other together, mate? I just do not get it at all. But like,
Yeah.
I'm fully on board with that, buddy. So what I like to finish what I've decided, I'm going to finish this series 3 on. I think it's 2 questions, like just 2 questions. You got to just answer them, or you don't have to, but like, just answer them. 2 questions, just a nice light-hearted way to finish. Cullan Mais, where will you be in 5 years' time?
Whew. I'm going to be settled down happily with my partner. The podcast is going to be streamlined perfectly, running itself with a healthy following and a healthy message. You know, looking really well, and I'm going to be looking to have had my kind of like a charity, if not high up in Kaleidoscope, I will have some sort of project of my own, running my own way. And yeah, I would like to say that I'd be one of the top podcasts in the UK, but you just never know.
Yeah, you got to believe, mate. Believe it, believe it. And the final question to round us off, Cullen, what is the meaning of life?
Oh, fucking hell, man. The meaning of life. I always just say love, man. I'm a real lover, not a fighter, and I just want to, I try and get on with everyone. Um, I believe life is a test for something else. I do not believe this is the only thing that happens. I believe whether it's reincarnation or go into some, ascend into something else. Life is a test of showing how much love you got for people.
Absolutely, mate. Spot on, buddy. I like it. I like it a lot. And tell the people where they can find the Central Club, you on social media, YouTube, all that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So we're on all the social media platforms. So your Facebook, your Instagram's a big one. Twitter. Even got a Snap. The Snapchat is run just by me, and it's just my personal daily journey through the podcast and Kaleidoscope. Also, get me up on my personal Instagram. I'm not on Facebook no more, but I'm on the Instagram. And obviously, if you want to watch the episodes, YouTube is the place to be. But also, we've got the audio version on Spotify and Apple. Any of you got any interesting guests, get us on any of the socials or the email, the central podcast at hotmail.com. And yeah, like, be nice to see you get over and show some support. And I'll
Absolutely.
try and put my people over to you side.
Yeah, good plan, mate. Good plan. I will put links to everything anyway for the Central Club in the description below. And guys, of course, you can subscribe to Ace Podcast Nation
Before I do, every Sunday,
every
8
Sunday.
p.m.
There we
without
go.
fail episodes.
There
Also,
we
we got
go,
a
mate.
TikTok page. The TikTok, if you guys don't want to sit and watch us for an hour and a half, there is a TikTok page now with the juiciest, funniest, most interesting parts. And yeah, there might be some people you'll shun off as an episode. You'll watch a clip and you'll give them a chance. So we're on TikTok as well.
Good
Solid
plan.
side.
I gotta launch my TikTok, mate. I just keep meaning to do it, and then I just never get around to doing it.
There's so
But
much in it.
yeah, it's just, I need a social media manager, mate. That's what I need. Get my kids to run it, I reckon. Yeah, guys, subscribe to Ace Podcast Nation. Click the bell for notifications, and of course, join us next week for another episode of My Story, where we'll have another guest telling their story in their own words. But Cullan Mais, mate, cannot tell
Simon,
you what a pleasure it's been.
I just want to say thank you very much, mate, for having me on, especially as the opening
It's a
guest
pleasure,
in the next series. And you got a lot out of me, which I never thought I'd come clean with. So you must be doing something right to get that out of me. I'm obviously feeling comfortable enough to say these things. And, I just want people to know that anything I have said, I don't glorify any of this stuff. You know, this is stuff that happened to me, which it happens to a lot of people, and I'm just trying to cause awareness for this. But the main thing I want to say is just if you think you've got a mental health problem, speak up about it. Whether it's a family member, whether it's a doctor you self-refer, whether it's a teacher and you're young, whatever it is, everyone's different. Everyone's got something wrong with them. Don't be afraid to speak up and seek help.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say as well, to finish us off, if you've been affected by anything which we've talked about over over probably 3 hours worth of talking and stuff like that, I will put links to the Mind website. I'll put links to Kaleidoscope, and I'll put links to a couple of other things for people battling addiction, mental health problems. As I said, 5 minutes ago, it ain't too late. If you're still breathing, then you're still fighting. We will see you next week. Cheers, guys. Cheers, Cullan.
Stay central.
Hey guys, you can watch me on Ace Podcast Nation, 7:30 on Fridays. YouTube, Spotify, what else?
Stitcher,
Apple,
everything.
Facebook,
Twitter,
lot. Yeah,
the lot.
So,
talking all things football.
check it all out. Football, and if you don't fancy football, side does MMA, boxing, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, check it out.
Indeed, and we have the odd guest join us on a Friday as well, and have new guests every week on the Fight Show, plus more. Subscribe.
I press the button.